Okay. I did test that before.
Okay. We didn't know they do it too.
I'll just put this onto my phone, just in case. I don't know how long my phone will take though.
So you ready, Grandpa? Please state your full name.
Thomas J. Spaniol, Sr.
So why did your parents select this name, and did you have a nickname?
Well, my brother, who was 18 years older than I am, was going to St. Thomas College at the time, so he's actually the one that named me Thomas. And my dad nicknamed me Snowflake when I was a kid.
Why Snowflake?
Well, he named a lot of my brother was Snowball. And he named Johnny in Kansas City. I forget what he named him. Snowball, Snowflake, and
Snowman?
I just can't remember that one down there.
So the next one is when and where were you born?
I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Joseph's Hospital, on September 7th, 1929.
So how did your family come to live in St. Paul?
My mother and dad were married in Superior, Wisconsin. My dad worked in the Great Northern Roundhouse up there. He used to call engine crews. He was a telegrapher. And he got transferred to St. Paul. He became the wire chief, the head of that telegraph department.
Mm-hmm. So they moved down from Superior
to St. Paul, and they bought that house at 1798 Sargent. And I went to Nativity Grade School and St. Thomas High School, following my brother's footsteps.
Did you have other family members in the area?
Well, I had my aunt in Minneapolis as well.
Mm.
But just my brother that lived with us.
And that was your dad's sister?
Pardon?
That was your dad's sister? Your aunt?
No, my mother's sister.
Your mother's sister, yeah?
That was Jeanette.
Okay.
My dad nicknamed her the Blizzard.
Good Minnesota nicknames, huh? So the house on Sargent, then, what was it like? How many rooms did it have? Bathrooms? Did it have electricity? Did it have indoor plumbing? Telephones?
The house, I think, they bought it in 1926 when they moved down here. It was a one-floor house, basically, with a second-floor attic. It had 2 bedrooms and a full bath on the first floor, and a full basement. And I kind of fixed it up. We fixed it up upstairs. I used to like to stay upstairs. You know, in the attic, then I could hear the rain hit the roof. Well, my Uncle Amos from Superior got kind of old, so he moved down. That was my mother's brother, Amos. So he moved down to live with us. So he took the upstairs, and then I took the first floor bedroom. But my brother got married, and he was gone then, you know. He married Margaret.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, were there any special items in the house that you remember?
I don't remember anything special there, but
It was a brown house, wasn't it? Brown on the outside?
It was kind of white, I think. But
Was it stucco?
no,
No.
wood siding,
Yeah.
lap siding, you know.
Yeah.
And from the outside, you could go down the stairway into the basement from the outside.
Right.
My dad had built that porch on the back after he bought the house. So we had that porch that was enclosed off the kitchen. But underneath there was another little part of, little bit of basement. I snuck a motorcycle down there when I was 14 years old and I covered it with an oriental rug. My dad didn't find it for 3 months. Then when I was living there, well, that's about 14 or 15, we enclosed the front porch with those aluminum windows, you know, like all around the porch. Then when I was living there, my dad and I, we extended the garage, made the garage bigger. So I jacked that garage up, put rollers under it, and we moved it 4 feet into the yard. Poured cement under that section. And then we put a one door overhead door across the back on the garage side. Turned out pretty, it's that way, same way today. And we planted an apple tree the same height I was. I think it's still there. Minnesota Wealthy, I think, was the name of it.
The name of the apple tree?
Yeah.
Minnesota Wealthy? So, what's your earliest childhood memory?
That's a hard one, because the only thing I really remember is my little dog Skippy. I kept getting dogs, but they kept getting run over, you know. But Skippy was my first dog. I remember that.
What kind of dog was it?
My little fox terrier. I used to always run. My dad had 2 good friends on the right side, you know. Dave Townsend was a retired dispatcher from the railroad. He was kind of old, and next to him was Joe Brisboy. He was a contractor. And I even went to work for him a little bit when I got to be about 14, carrying shingles up on a roof, but I could only carry half a bundle at a time because they were pretty heavy.
Mm.
So I'd go with him on the job and carry shingles. I made a little money on the side. But my first job was at the Standard Oil Station a block away, you know. I worked for Lou Smith. I made about 35 cents an hour.
Doing what?
Well, putting gas in cars and just stuff like that. 14 years old.
So, can you describe the personalities of your family members?
Well, Jeanette, you know, Aunt Jeanette, she was pretty high class. And she worked, she was a secretary in an office. She lived in an apartment in Minneapolis, you know. Her first cousin, well, her sister was married to Nelson, and he died. Then Jeanette married him, and he had electric company. Hello.
We can edit it out.
Good afternoon. How are you? Oh, did you? Well, I set it off, I suppose.
It's just cool that he's getting phone calls.
I had to get up at 4:30, 4:45 to take Audrey's brother to the airport. Her son, I mean.
When he's
So then I
driving,
could come back home. I
answer
shut
his
the phone off so we could sleep a little bit.
What do you think of these questions, Audrey? Are they okay?
Yeah.
So then we slept till about
That's
9
good.
o'clock. And then we got up to
Very
have breakfast.
interesting.
Hmm.
I've heard about all this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. He's told me all the
No, well then
history.
Matthew's down at Tom the Third.
We'll see if we find something that you haven't heard yet, though.
Yeah.
He flies out tomorrow, so I'm down here at Tom the Third right now, visiting Matthew. No, I'm on the go all the time. Yeah. You're at the fair now? Oh, is she still there?
Turn this thing
Oh, okay. Oh, she. Oh, okay. What
Doesn't
else
make
is
much of a
going on,
difference.
anything? Oh, okay, that was quite a party yesterday. Yeah. What's that? Oh, yeah, yeah, that was fine. Oh. Okey doke, talk to you later. Okay, bye. That's Denise.
Okay.
She calls me every day,
Yeah,
especially during the
Every
week on her
morning.
way to work.
Mm.
and every night usually she calls him.
Mm.
The only one of his kids that do that. That's
Well-
so nice.
No,
Turn it off if you don't want to answer the phone.
the balance on this account is yours. Robocall.
Turn your phone off.
Okay, where was I?
We were talking about the personalities of your family members.
Jeanette.
Jeanette.
High class.
High
yeah.
class.
Dress sharp.
Yeah.
She died when she was 96. My mother's sister. They were all in their 90s when they died. Because there were 6 girls and 1 boy in that family. Amos was the boy. And then, well, my mother was a good cook. She's a pretty heavy lady though. She weighed about 205 pounds, and I weighed 205 pounds when I was in St. Thomas. We weighed the same.
At the academy, you were already 205 pounds.
I was. But I was muscle, it wasn't.
But we're talking about Eva, right? Eva's
Yeah,
your
my mother,
right?
Eva.
Yeah.
Good cook, and
She wasn't that heavy when she was older, though. I only knew her when she was older. She wasn't that heavy.
yeah, and of course they used to go to California every winter too. And my dad retired. He'd drive out. And then, with my dad,
The personality of your dad?
he's a good guy, really. But he smoked.
Mm.
And he'd smoke before he'd go to, I couldn't wait till he left for work. So the smoke wouldn't be in the house, you know.
Mm.
I hated that smoke. I was at the doctor's office all the time, getting nose gloves and putting the heat lamp on my, all due to that darn smoke. That's why I got sinus trouble today from that darn smoke.
Mm.
But he was good. He golfed a lot. He went to Como Golf Course. His buddies were out there, and he'd bring me along. And one day after they played golf, they played poker. So I was standing behind my dad. He got dealt a natural royal flush between the pot. That was good. I never forgot that. Yeah.
So, what kind of games did you play growing up?
Well, we had little guns with kids when we were kids, you know, running around the neighborhood, shooting at one another, pretending we're shooting at one another. We didn't have the guns like they got today that shoot pellets, you know. We didn't have-
Cap guns, huh?
Yeah, we had cap guns.
Yeah.
And then that sidewalk stuff where you jump from side to side, you know.
The hopscotch.
Yeah, hopscotch. And what else? My brother had pigeons
Pigeons.
in the top of our garage. He had homing pigeons. He raised homing pigeons. So they'd ship them out of town. He belonged to a club. They'd ship them out of town, maybe a couple, 400 miles away. And the first pigeon, when it landed in our roof, it landed. My brother knew it landed because it would make a noise when it landed. It hit on a piece of board, you know. My brother would go out and get the band off his leg and clock it in. And he won a lot of those trophies. He's a pigeon raiser.
Which brother was that?
John, the only brother I had. Only
Yeah.
just him and I, we were 18 years apart. My mother was bashful. She changed her clothes in the closet. Don't put that.
We could edit that out. Huh? So what was your favorite toy growing up?
Well, my bicycle, but I don't know if that was a toy. But I had a little toys that rolled on the floor, you know, fire trucks and little stuff like that.
Why was the bicycle your favorite toy?
Well, it wasn't really a toy, but I got my first bike, you know, tricycle, and then I got to be a bicycle, you know, and then I got acrobatic with the darn thing. I'd sit on the handlebars and face the other way. That's why I was so reckless with a motorcycle.
So what were your favorite things to do for fun? Or your favorite thing to do for fun?
Well, geez, I can't.
All sorts of fun,
Just
huh?
hang out with my buddies, you know, my little kids around there. We didn't go very far. We had an empty lot on the end of the corner across the alley. We used to go over there and play in that empty lot. And then the races had the grocery store behind us. We were always in there getting candy or something, you know. Race girls. There were two sisters from France that owned that races supermarket. Single. And they were good to us kids, you know. We were always in there. And that's where my folks bought all their groceries, because it was right across the alley, you know.
What kind of games did you play in that empty lot?
Oh, we hid from one another, and we'd have little war games and stuff like that, you know. Throw stuff at one another. But I remember the time I caught a squirrel.
Yeah?
He bit me on the finger. I damn near fainted. Boy, them squirrels they got a heck of a bite. Then I was climbing a tree and I fell off. I hurt my leg, you know. That happened when I was a kid there.
How do you catch a squirrel?
Wasn't easy. But I happened to get the grab him by the tail, and he turned right around and bit me. Oh boy,
You got him.
big bite.
Got him by the tail.
Oh.
Got him going up a tree?
He wasn't in the tree. He was in Race's back lot, the grocery store's back lot there.
Oh.
Well, it got him real easy.
Did you have to do chores as a child? What kind of chores did you do?
Chores?
Yeah, chores.
I didn't have really any chores. I didn't have to take garbage out or nothing.
Cut the grass?
Not till I got older. You know, not when I was young.
Yeah.
We had a lawnmower, push lawnmower, you know, with a roller.
Yeah.
That's what we had. Didn't have the power stuff like they got now.
No. Those rollers are tough.
And as I got older, I started working on cars, you know,
Yeah.
in the garage here. And I worked in a body shop on the corner for Vern Sherrard. I'd hand sand. We used to put about 6-8 coats, finished coats on a car, and every coat had to be hand sanded with sandpaper and water back then.
A lot of rust.
They really looked nice, you know. They don't do that today.
No, but a lot of rust in those cars back then.
Well, yeah, they rusted, but not too bad. They had a little thick steel.
Were you doing the welding too?
No, I didn't do any welding back then. I did in the Navy. I learned how to weld in the Navy. But I forgot how to do that now. I haven't done it for so long. I just took the welding course, you know.
How old were you when you joined the Navy?
Right now, well, I was a senior in high school. And I joined, so I was about 17 or something like that.
Did you go in?
Navy Reserve.
Okay, but because of St. Thomas, then you went in as a corporal.
No, I went in as a airman apprentice.
Okay.
I went in the Navy Air Corps. My first job was teaching the other guys how to march, because I come out of St. Thomas.
Mm.
And then my first job I had was in the parachute loft, rigging parachutes, holding them up and putting them in the harness thing, you know.
Yeah.
Then I had to sign a little piece of paper with my name on it and put it in the pocket of that chute. So one day I asked the guy, well, how come I'm signing? Why do we have to sign? Because the pilot can come along and take you up and make you jump that chute. That was the last day I was in the parachute loft. I got out of there. I wouldn't jump out of a plane unless it was on fire. I'd ride it right to the ground. So then I got working on hydraulic propellers. The pitch of the propeller is controlled by hydraulic pressure. You get high RPM when you take off, you know?
Yeah.
Then when you get up to cruising, you cut it back, and it takes a bigger bite of air and you slow the engine down, you know. Well, if those hydraulic propellers would leak oil and get on the windshield, and the pilot sometimes couldn't see. So that's why I replaced the gaskets in those hydraulic propellers. And then from there, I started working on the line. In the morning I'd get there and I'd start up these airplanes and run them up and check the mag drop off. If the RPM dropped over 100 RPM when I switched the mag, I'd ground the plane. Had to be fixed. If everything checked out okay, I'd okay it for the line, so the pilot could come up, get the plane, and take off, you know. If there's anything wrong, I'd ground it, you know. That was back then. And then Dick Ingram, he lived up the end of the street. He was in there with me. And then we'd go on cruises. We'd go for 2 weeks in the summer in the Gulf of Mexico on an aircraft carrier. So,
What year was this?
pardon?
What year was this?
That's about 18 or 19 years old.
You're 18, 19?
Because I joined that reserve in 47, and I got an honorable discharge in 51 or something like that, because they gave me an honorable discharge because I got married and we had a kid and they didn't want to pay the extra money. So they gave me an honorable discharge. But I worked on a flight deck.
On the aircraft carrier?
On the aircraft carrier. When the planes would land, I'd bring them up, get them to the end, lock the brakes, bring them up to the end.
Okay.
You know, park them.
Yeah.
So that was and Arthur Godfrey happened to be there. He was a commander, you know. He happened to be there when I was there. And that's when Julius LaRosa was on that ship too. And he took Julius LaRosa with him on the air. Julius LaRosa was a singer, you know. So, and Arthur Godfrey used to fly his own DC. The heck was it? 2-engine. Oh, I don't know. 2-engine plane.
Oh, a Spitfire.
No, it was just a regular transport plane. He'd fly it down there and he'd get all the work done on it for free. Because maybe he'd work on it for free.
So this is right before the Korean War?
Yeah, well, I was going to transfer to a fighting. I was in a service squadron, you know.
Mm.
I was going to transfer to a fighter squadron. And I didn't get over there quick enough to sign up. That was the first reserve unit that got called to Korea. I missed it. Then I got honorable discharge because we had that baby. I'm gone.
Mm.
So that ended that.
Mm. So the last question was about chores. Did you have any chores?
That's a big toy.
So the next question is, did you get any allowance, like a money allowance or anything like that?
Well, if I had to go to the store and buy some candy, they'd give me money for that, but I didn't get allowance.
Mm. No. Okay. So the next question is, what was your school like for you as a child? So what were your best and worst subjects that you studied in school? And yeah.
Well, my best subject was math and physics. As I got older. I remember when I was at that Catholic girls' school, grade school, we had all nuns, as teachers. They were pretty strict.
It was nativity?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You did anything wrong, they'd come around with a ruler and snap you with their ruler. You had to behave. So it was good. It was a good grade school, really. Well, I sent my kids there too.
All right.
Nativity.
Mm-hmm. So math and physics, right? So did that have any weight on why you went into working in engineering? Working with engines?
Well, they called me the automotive expert of the physics class. Because I knew a lot about car engines and everything, because I always monkeyed with them, rebuilt engines and stuff when I was a kid.
So they called you back into Nativity to give classes?
No. Mm-mm. Well, I wasn't really working on engines in Nativity.
No.
When I got into high school, that's when I started that.
Mm.
That's where I had the physics and the math. English I hated. I didn't like English. I was pretty good at spelling though. But I get caught once in a while, I gotta sound it out, Syllable. Can you spell syllable?
I think so. Why don't you spell it for me?
Syllable.
Okay. It might have been my guess. So then, where did you attend grade school? Right, this Nativity, and then high school, right?
St. Thomas Academy was high school.
But the campus was in St. Paul at the time.
Well, I didn't really go to St. My mother was sick when I was going to enter high school, and
sick with
my
what?
dad couldn't afford me, put me in St. Thomas right then. He spent a lot of money on my mother, I guess. So I went to Monroe my first year.
Freshman year.
That was down by West 7th Street and Jefferson. I went there for 1 year. And the next year I entered St. Thomas Academy on my sophomore year. So I never got a rank. I never got a lieutenant rank because I was only there 3 years. I just got a master sergeant.
Mm. What was your mother sick with at the time, remember?
I don't know what was really wrong, but
Master Sergeant. So the question, what school activities and sports did you participate in, if any?
well, I was going to go out for football with my buddy Jack Drexler, but then I was there as a sophomore. If I had been there as a freshman, I'd have been on a football team, but I didn't get on the football team, so I didn't. Well, I played a little bit of baseball, but not just monkeying around, not for the school.
Mm. Mm.
We used to play in that vacant lot. Well, there's another vacant lot on St. Clair, a big wide lot. We used to, neighborhood kids used to play football and a little baseball over there. Weinhagen owned the property, but they didn't kick us off.
Do you remember any fads from your youth?
But what?
But fads, fashion fads, or popular hairstyles, or what
Well,
was it?
tiny haircuts.
It's like a short on the sides and like a flat top.
Yeah,
Did you have one of those?
yeah. That's about it. I don't know any other fads there.
What were your favorite clothes to wear?
Well, jeans, you know, and t-shirts. I was great on t-shirts. I always wore a t-shirt, and always clean. I was always clean though.
Clean cut,
Yeah.
no beard. You never had a mustache.
No.
Never had a beard.
No. And we used to ride our motorcycles. I'd always ride with a t-shirt, you know. Unless it was cold, then I put a jacket on. But
Leather jacket.
yeah, I had a leather jacket finally. Good thing I had that on when I went through the barbed wire fence because it shredded it here. It didn't hurt, but it 13 stitches. I went through that barbed wire fence. I just put a windshield on that morning, and I went through that barbed wire fence. Joe Luger was home from West Point. He was a year ahead of me at St. Thomas. We heard there was a powwow out by Wayzata. Powwow, you know, where the kids all get together and light a fire and roast hot dogs and all that stuff. So we went out. I had my motorcycle, and Joe rode with me.
On the back of your
Yeah,
motorcycle?
behind me on
Yeah.
one of my motorcycles. I forget which one it was. It was a Harley, but it was an older one. So we're looking for this powwow. I went past Wayzata, and I'm coming into a little town out there called St. Bonifacius. So I'm coming about 50. And all of a sudden the road turned, blacktop road turned, no sign or nothing. So I started to take the turn, but there was a gravel road coming in at an angle. So the wheels started slipping, so I straightened it out. And I just went straight ahead. I locked the brakes. I went right through a barbed wire fence. I tore down about over 100 feet of their farmer's fence. Ended up in the ravine. And the moon's out, and I see the blood squirting out of here. So I tell Joe, I says, Joe, I'm going to get up this thing up. You push, and I'll try to ride it up the hill. We got it up a hill on the road. We both jumped on, and I turned in the first house, and the light was lit. I knocked on the door. I said, can you help me? I was in, and oh my God, she came with a towel. She wrapped my hand up. And her husband called the doctor's office. I was 15 minutes later, my hand was getting sewed up. 13 stitches here. I had a gash in my leg. The gash was still there. He said, did I sew that? No, I did put a Band-Aid on that. So 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm coming down the highway with an Indian, 39 Indian Chief. I had this hand in my jacket, throbbing, this hand on the gas. So then I dropped Joe Luger off by Town and Country. That's where he lived. Then I went up Marshall to Snelling, over Snelling to St. Clair, and down St. Clair, and I goosed it. I shut it off. And I had enough momentum I could go down the Wheeler and turn over, go half a block down, and coast into the backyard. They couldn't hear me coming. And I snuck upstairs. I lived upstairs in the second floor. They didn't hear me come in. Next morning I come down for breakfast. My mother seen my what happened? Oh, I says I had a little accident with
So that was a question about clothes.
yeah, well, I wore a jacket. Otherwise, it's just slacks and a t-shirt.
So who were your childhood heroes?
Huh?
Childhood heroes.
Well, I used to watch Tom Mix.
Who's that?
Well, he was on the radio, you know. The Ralston straight shooter. Ralston, you know, advertised for him.
Okay.
And Tom Mix, who was the other one?
And they like Western style, like cowboys.
Oh yeah, the Lone Ranger
Mm.
and Tonto.
Mm-hmm. So you had a TV in your house when you were growing up?
Well, we didn't have one right away. I listened to radio a lot, like the Lone Ranger and the other one. You heard about Tonto and
Sure.
the Lone Ranger.
Sure. I didn't know it was a radio show before it was a TV show,
Yeah.
though. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm.
Tonto and the Lone Ranger, you know, way deal. Tonto was Tonto said Tonto lost his underwear. Tonto say me no care. Lone Ranger buy me another pair. That was a joke years ago.
So, what were your favorite songs and music?
When I was in high school, Sentiment and Journey, Harbor Lights, To Each His Own, slow. I like slow music.
Mm.
I used to like to dance slow, but I could Lindy, you know.
Okay.
But I like the slow stuff.
So we hit this one, right? Did you have any pets? Right. You mentioned your pets.
Oh yeah, that's Skippy.
Skippy.
All they were all little
Terriers. Huh?
terriers, fox terriers, or no big dogs.
So, what religion were you growing up?
Catholic,
And then what church did you?
Nativity.
Yeah. Nothing's changed there.
Still
Still
going to Nativity.
Yeah. Have you ever been mentioned in a newspaper?
Ever what?
Have you ever been mentioned in a newspaper? Have you ever been in the news?
Yeah, but not by name. Billy Glendenny and I, and Sheridan Buckley.
Glendenning, he was a high school friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sheridan Buckley was too, but he went to Cretan.
Okay.
But we were kind of hung together. And we rode motorcycles. So we go over on the Wisconsin side. We're going up the road over there. And we see this big Caterpillar diesel sitting there about 10 o'clock at night.
Bulldozer.
In the middle of the field.
Bulldozer.
Yeah. Just sitting there. So we thought, we'll go over and see if we can start that thing. So I started a little engine on the side and I got it going. Then we started the big engine and we jump on it. And we're going. And all of a sudden we hear sirens.
Oh.
So we jumped off and let it go.
Oh.
So the next day we got out of there. Didn't get caught. Next day we read in the paper where it went through a farmer's barn and got buried himself. And another time we were down in St. Croix on the Minnesota side having a party at it was kind of they had picnic tables and everything there, you know. Fooling around down there. And then we heard the police coming again. So we jumped off the roof and I went right through the table and got stuck. Well, they got me out of there. And we got out of there and we got away again. I was kind of wild when I was younger.
So that was that. Were you ever mentioned in a newspaper question?
Yeah.
No. So and then the next one is who were your friends growing up?
Well, that was Billy Glendenning, Sheridan Buckley, and
These were high school buddies, though, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh. Were they from Monroe or were they from St. Thomas?
St. Thomas.
Oh.
Well, I got to know, what's that restaurant there we go to? Eat, what's that? On West 7th Street?
Gallagher's?
Oh,
What, 7th?
You know that
Savoy?
restaurant where Ian met you for your birthday?
can't think of the name of it.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's not O'Hara's or O'Gallagher's or
No, it's
Mancini's.
Mancini's, okay, yeah.
Nick Mancini, I got
yeah.
to know him real well.
Mancini's,
Yeah.
But he was a couple years older than me. See, I was a freshman, he was a junior.
Okay.
I met him there and I got to know him very well. And even when he had that restaurant, I'd always go in there and I'd always chat with him when we go into Mancini. Of course, he died a few years ago.
Yeah.
And his kids run it, but I know his kids too yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what world events had the most impact on you when you were growing up? And did any of them personally affect your family? So what world events had the most impact on you growing up?
We're bombing of Pearl Harbor. When I was only about 14, I think, wasn't I? Yeah. And that's about the main one. Of course, I didn't get in the Korean War. I missed that. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any family members in the war? Either the second or Korean?
My cousin Edward was in the war, and my cousin Gregory, his brother, he walked all across from Italy all the way up to through France. What they call, I forget what they called it. At that time, they walked all across the bottom part of Europe there. And he just died a couple of years ago, Gregory.
Mm.
And Edward used to, my cousin, he was a tail gunner on a B-29.
In the Pacific?
Yeah, he was with Germany. You know.
Okay, he was also in Germany, also in Europe, yeah? Describe a typical family dinner. Did you eat together as a family?
Oh yeah, especially Sunday. We'd all sit around having mashed potatoes, gravy, chicken, or whatever, ham, or
Mm-hmm.
and Jeanette would come over,
Mm-hmm.
and then one day we had dessert, you know, pie, and we had that ready whip. And my dad said to Aunt Jeanette, he said, "Jeanette, would you like a little ready whip on your pie?" I said, "Yeah." He squirted it right in the face. John. In fact, I was sitting there with Dolores. I had a couple little kids there. It didn't go over too good.
So how were holidays, birthdays and Christmas, how were they celebrated in your family? And did you guys have any special family traditions?
Oh yeah, we had Christmas get together and Thanksgiving, you know, at my folks' house.
Mm.
And then I had to come over. She'd be about the only one that would come over because I had all my kids there.
Mm.
And then my brother would drive up from Kansas City for Thanksgiving and come for Christmas,
Mm.
bring his kids.
Mm. Mm. And so, How is the world different today from what it was like when you were a child?
But there aren't any drugs around like there is now. They're ruining all these kids' lives. You know, cigarettes was a bad thing.
They were around back then too, yeah.
They were there. My dad smoked, and I hated that cigarette stuff. I still don't like it.
Mm.
But other than that, there weren't a lot of DUIs and all that stuff. You know, like there is now.
A lot of people getting in a lot of trouble for that, huh?
Yeah. Of course, there's a lot more traffic now than there was then, too.
Mm. Because you fixed all those cars.
Yeah.
So who was or is the oldest relative that you remember? Who's the oldest relative you remember? And what do you remember about them?
I met my grandpa when I was little. Gustav, you know?
August.
August.
Yeah.
Spaniol. I met him
Yeah.
and his wife, Mary.
Yeah.
You know, many years ago, they lived. The northern Bury was on the corner across the street, and a vacant lot. Then there was my grandmother and grandpa's house.
Uh-huh.
I remember them years ago,
Yeah.
but they didn't live too much longer after that. But then I knew Uncle Amos, and
But August was the one that immigrated from Germany to the U.S.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then the other one was my mother's mother and dad, you know.
Carifel. It was a Carifel.
Poland.
Poland. Oh, that was Dolores', yeah.
I remember her, but I don't remember. I kind of vaguely remember him. My grandma, I was kind of young. They used to cook on that wood stove, you know, and everything in the house. They had a wood stove.
Wood stove, like a fire burning wood stove in the house to heat
Yeah,
it
that's
up.
what they cooked on.
Like what we had in Bobovik.
But he built that house because my grandfather worked in the railroad yard building boxcars, so he built that house. That house is there today yet. When I first went there was no plumbing in there. They had to carry the water in from I think they pumped it outside somewhere. Outside bathroom and stuff, you know. Wasn't in the house. That's a long way back.
Oh. That was your mother's
That was on Catlin Avenue.
father, Catlin.
1312 Catlin Avenue. And that was the house my grandfather built. Of course, we'd go up to visit my mother's other sister, Verna. She lived in Fond du Lac. Her husband was a dam. There's a dam there. And they lived in the dam property. They had houses there, 3 houses up there for the guys that took care of the dam. And my mother's sister lived in the first one with her husband, Orestes Martin. And then her sister lived next door. I forget. With another, I forget his name now. We always drive up there. Jeanette, my mother, and I'd be in the middle of the car, you know, drive up there. And then we'd visit them all the time on a Sunday. Then we drove to Canada once. I was a little guy in the car, and when it rained, you know, the windshield wipers, I'd go like this. I'd mimic them. I'd drive them nuts. I was doing what the windshield wipers were doing.
Hmm. What do you know about the family surname, our last name?
Spaniel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, from what I heard, it originated in Spain as Espanola. Hispanoiola. And I heard he must be my great-great-grandfather. Or,
August's dad.
well, I don't know who he was. He come from a wealthy family in Spain. He went to Germany and married a German girl, Fraulein. That's why I have about 1,000 relatives in Spanish Luxembourg, Germany, right today.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed the name from Espanola to Spaniel, tried to make a German name out of it. And then finally Gustav came over here on a boat, and my grandmother was on the boat, but they didn't know each other then.
Oh.
And when they came over on the boat, one brother ended up in St. Cloud, and he had the St. Spaniel Hotel in St. Cloud. The others went down to Shakopee, because there's Spaniels in Shakopee today. And that's where my grandmother and my grandfather met, got married. Then they moved to North St. Paul. And that's where my dad was born, in North St. Paul. Then they moved to Superior. That's where Grandpa got a job in a railroad,
Telegraph.
building boxcars and stuff.
Oh.
He's the one that built that house up there, Catlin Avenue.
Mm. Mm. Is there a naming tradition in the family, such as always giving the firstborn son the name of their paternal grandfather? I think we know the answer to this one.
Well, I don't.
So is there a name tradition in the family? Right now there is, right? Tom.
Yeah, but my brother was named John. I don't know who he was named after.
Yeah.
We probably named after my dad. My dad was John Theodore. So my brother was Don Theodore Jr.,
Oh, okay.
Spaniel Jr.
Yeah.
But then I come along, and my brother kind of named me. I went to St. Thomas.
So, boy, this is a tough one. So, what stories have come down to you about your parents and your grandparents and your more distant ancestors? It's a lot of questions.
Well, when my grandfather met in Canada,
Your grandparents met in Canada?
my grandpa and my grandmother met in Canada, and they came down here. He was German, she was French.
Mm.
Poland. They call it Poland. French is Poland. In fact, way back then, there was a father Poland up there, actually a priest that was related to us way back up there, and I think it came through Quebec.
Mm.
And then they came down to Minnesota or to Wisconsin.
Mm.
That was my mother's side.
Mm-hmm. Dad did his DNA test. My dad did that DNA test.
Oh yeah.
He was kind of surprised how much French was.
Yeah, and then Dolores' relatives are all buried in Somerset,
Mm-hmm.
All your ancestors are there.
Mm-hmm.
That's Carrierville.
Mm-hmm.
You met Denny.
I did meet Denny.
He's at Carrierville.
Yeah. So, are there any famous relatives in the family?
Any what?
Has anybody gotten famous in the family?
Not yet.
Not really, huh?
Not that I know of.
No. I mean, my mom's dad, he was kind of famous. Did you know Chuck? Carson?
Well, I've
Chuck
heard of him,
Prince?
but I didn't know him.
You
but
never met him, huh?
I think I watched him on TV.
Yeah?
Chuck Carson, yeah.
Mm.
That was your mother's dad, wasn't it?
Yeah. You remember him from TV though, huh?
I remember them from TV because when Kelly first came in the family there, I remembered that Carson.
Yeah.
Well, he had a band, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He had a radio show and yeah, he toured with Elvis